The investigation begins when a routine equipment check uncovers inconsistencies in the signed inspection sheet. At 0700 hours, the officer briefs the unit on the standard inspection protocol, emphasizing accountability for all assigned gear. You start the equipment check by verifying each item against the checklist, initialing each completion as required by protocol. The inspection sheet shows multiple entries, but one signature is missing, indicating a procedural oversight from last week's audit. After counting the socks, you find only 7 pairs instead of the 8 documented on the equipment log for your unit. You report the missing socks to the officer, who notes it down on the clipboard with a concerned expression and orders a recheck. The checklist has all initials, but the gear bag's unit patch is worn, suggesting it hasn't been replaced in over 6 months. You discuss the inconsistencies with a colleague who recalls similar issues during the last inspection cycle involving misplaced equipment. The officer reviews the discrepancies and orders a recheck of all equipment, involving the sergeant in charge of the barracks inventory. The gear bag shows signs of wear, and the radio's frequency log has entries that don't match the assigned channels from last month. During the re-inspection, you discover 2 more missing items, bringing the total discrepancies to 3 separate issues requiring immediate documentation. You compile a list of all inconsistencies, including dates, items, and responsible personnel for the investigation file to present to superiors. The radio log has several missing entries, indicating that communication protocols were not followed during critical periods over the past 2 weeks. The officer reports the findings to the chain of command, requesting authorization to expand the investigation scope to include all barracks units. Suspicion grows as interviews reveal that multiple soldiers had access to the equipment room without proper logs for the last 3 days. The inspection protocol manual outlines strict rules for documentation, but several pages show signs of frequent use and handwritten notes in the margins. The junior soldier admits to borrowing gear without authorization, providing a lead for the investigation into the discrepancies found earlier today. You collect all relevant evidence, including the inspection sheets and gear, preparing them for review by superiors in the coming investigation phase. The ranks and insignia remind everyone of the chain of command, where accountability rests with each level of responsibility in the unit. The discovery phase concludes with a list of 3 key discrepancies, setting the stage for a deeper investigation into suspicion and protocol breaches. Suspicion grows as we uncover more irregularities in the equipment and barracks, questioning standard operating procedures and accountability. During the second inspection, we discover that 3 additional radio units have been moved without authorization, bringing total protocol violations to 6. The senior soldier explains that the equipment room door was left unlocked on 2 occasions last week, leading to uncontrolled access by unauthorized personnel. The broken lock on the equipment room door indicates a failure in security protocols, allowing entry without proper logging or supervision. The officer orders a full review of all access logs for the past month, involving 5 different personnel in the investigation to identify lapses. In the barracks, we find 2 more gear bags with incorrect unit patches, suggesting that inventory mismanagement has occurred over several weeks. The inconsistent unit patches on the uniforms reveal discrepancies in uniform issuance and maintenance procedures within the base logistics system. Witnesses confirm that equipment was borrowed without proper documentation on 3 separate days, implicating multiple soldiers in the protocol breaches. The radio log shows unauthorized frequency changes on 4 occasions, indicating communication protocol violations that could compromise base security operations. The highlighted entries in the radio log point to specific times when protocols were ignored, requiring further investigation into the responsible operators. Higher command authorizes a formal investigation report mandating interviews with all 8 personnel involved in the equipment management chain. We compile the evidence into a comprehensive report detailing 10 separate protocol violations found during the suspicion phase of the investigation. The officer's signature on the inspection sheet validates the findings, but the discrepancies raise questions about oversight and accountability in daily operations. During the surprise check, we find one more missing item, bringing the total to 11 discrepancies that need to be addressed immediately. The custodian admits to skipping 2 weekly maintenance checks, which contributed to the equipment discrepancies and protocol failures in the barracks. The maintenance logbook has several blank sections indicating lapses in routine checks that are essential for equipment accountability and base readiness. We document all new evidence, including 5 additional witness statements, to build a strong case for the conclusion phase of the investigation. The sergeant outlines the next steps, verifying all evidence with 3 different supervisors to ensure accuracy before final reporting. The chain of command chart reminds us that accountability flows upward, with each level responsible for enforcing protocols and preventing breaches. The suspicion phase ends with a total of 12 protocol violations identified, setting the stage for gathering conclusive evidence in the next phase. We now enter the evidence phase, systematically gathering proof through 5 key interviews and detailed documentation to solidify the case. We set up the interview room with 3 evidence folders and a recorder to capture statements from the first witness regarding the equipment discrepancies. The recorder ensures accurate documentation of each interview, capturing every detail to avoid misunderstandings in the evidence collection process. The corporal confirms that 2 items were improperly logged last month, adding to the 12 violations we need to document precisely. We input the corporal's statement into the investigation file, noting the specific dates and equipment codes for future reference and verification. The transcript includes exact quotes from the interview, ensuring that the evidence is verbatim and can be cross-checked with other sources. We verify the corporal's account against the maintenance logs, finding 3 additional inconsistencies that need to be addressed in the final report. The lieutenant explains that protocol adherence is monitored at 4 levels, and any breaches must be reported up the chain immediately. The flowchart outlines the accountability structure, showing how each rank is responsible for enforcing protocols and preventing errors in daily operations. We assemble the evidence binder with 15 separate documents, including interviews, logs, and inspection sheets, ready for the final review phase. The officer reviews the evidence, highlighting 6 critical findings that will form the basis of the investigation's conclusions and recommendations. The slide summarizes the evidence, pointing out the most significant protocol breaches that have been identified through meticulous documentation and interviews. The soldier provides new information about equipment handling procedures, revealing 2 more instances where protocols were not followed correctly. We find that the logs match the new statements, confirming a total of 14 protocol violations that need to be documented. The gear bag symbolizes the equipment accountability issue, with its unit patch representing the specific unit responsible for the discrepancies. We update the evidence list to include all 14 violations, ensuring that every item is accounted for before moving to the conclusion. The draft report outlines the evidence gathered from 8 interviews and multiple documents, ready for final approval from higher command. The inspection sheet serves as a key piece of evidence, with the signature validating the findings and the notes detailing the discrepancies. We verify that the chain of command includes all 5 levels involved, from the custodians to the officers, for accurate accountability. The evidence phase concludes with a comprehensive binder containing all findings, setting the stage for the final debriefing and conclusion of the investigation. We begin the morning briefing by presenting the evidence binder, which contains detailed accounts of all 14 protocol violations identified so far. The binder's summary page lists each violation with corresponding evidence, ready for review by the chain of command. The soldier confirms that 3 additional equipment logs were improperly filled, adding to the total count of discrepancies. We verify that the new log entries match the soldier's statements, ensuring consistency in the evidence gathered. The radio log reveals 2 unauthorized frequency changes, indicating further breaches in communication protocols. We update the evidence list to include 17 total violations based on the latest interviews and log checks. The slides highlight the key findings, including 5 critical procedural errors that need immediate attention. The projector is set up for the debriefing, ready to display the evidence to all involved personnel. We identify 6 specific individuals in the chain of command who are accountable for the protocol failures. The officer verifies all evidence entries, confirming that 20 documents are accurately documented for the report. The hallway is quiet as the investigation wraps up, with only the sound of distant generators in the background. The colonel reviews the evidence, noting that 7 major issues require disciplinary action and retraining. We set up the debriefing room for 30 personnel, ensuring that all equipment is functional for the presentation. The table is prepared with refreshments, indicating the start of a formal military debriefing session. All preparations are complete, with the debriefing scheduled to begin in 5 minutes for the conclusion phase. We now move to the conclusion stage, where the findings are debriefed and lessons are outlined for future improvements. The debriefing begins with an overview of the investigation, covering all 20 evidence points gathered over the past days. The report page details the consequences for each protocol violation, signed by the commanding officer for accountability. We outline 5 corrective actions, including mandatory retraining sessions for all personnel involved in the discrepancies. The investigation concludes with a commitment to improve protocols, ensuring that similar errors are prevented in future inspections. The final report is signed with 10 signatures, documenting all key findings from the equipment inspection investigation for accountability. The binder is securely stored in the cabinet, ensuring that the investigation records are preserved for future audits and reference. We implement 5 new inspection protocols to prevent similar discrepancies, covering all equipment checks and documentation procedures effectively. Retraining sessions are scheduled for next week, involving 30 soldiers to reinforce protocol adherence and correct past errors. The radio frequency log is verified, confirming that all communication protocols were followed correctly during the entire investigation process. The checklist is revised with 3 additional verification steps based on lessons learned to enhance accuracy in future inspections. All gear bags are inspected again, with unit patches confirmed to match the inventory records for 25 items accurately. The base returns to normal operations, with evening formation proceeding smoothly as the investigation concludes and routines resume. The colonel acknowledges the investigation's success, noting that accountability has been restored across the chain of command effectively. We conclude the debriefing, summarizing how 20 evidence points led to improved inspection procedures and disciplinary actions. The signed inspection sheet symbolizes the closure of the case, ready for the next routine check in 30 days. Preparations begin for the upcoming inspection, applying the new protocols to ensure no discrepancies occur during the process. Practice inspections are conducted, with soldiers showing protocol adherence under supervision to reinforce the corrected methods learned. The unit is reminded of discipline importance, with the investigation serving as a key learning experience for all personnel. Each gear bag is now properly maintained, reflecting the renewed focus on equipment accountability and organizational standards. The lessons learned are recorded, detailing how 5 protocol failures were identified and corrected to prevent future issues. The chain of command chart is revised, assigning clear responsibilities for future inspection oversight to 6 key individuals. The investigation team disbands, having successfully concluded the case with all objectives met and reports finalized. The base remains secure, with nightly routines continuing uninterrupted after the investigation, maintaining operational readiness. Looking ahead, we schedule the next inspection in 30 days, confident that protocols will be followed correctly based on lessons.